Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Cathie. Thank you all for being here. I did come to Olympia by way of the Midwest, but it was actually Michigan, which is fine. It's a whole region that we all don't have to think about very often. And the book that I'm mostly going to read it from is my first book. It's called The Cold and the Rust, and it's mainly set in Michigan, so I usually do a little like geographical geography moment when I read out here, because not everybody's super familiar with the Midwest, right? So most people know that Michigan looks like this. So where I grew up is actually the other part of Michigan that doesn't look like a mitten, so it looks like a sideways mitten or something else. And it is attached to Wisconsin. It's a very, very beautiful, really wild place, really isolated. It has Lake Superior on the top and Lake Michigan on the side. And super snowy. My parents still have snow on the ground, and at one point had 5 feet of snow outside their house this winter. Like as in had to keep it shoveled back from the sliding glass door so that it wouldn't like break their house open. So they're sick of the snow, and I am not sick of the snow because I've been living out here and I miss it terribly. So you'll hear a lot of winter poems. I'll try not to like stay in winter forever. I know that we feel like we've had enough over here this year too. So I'm going to start with the title poem from the book. It's not actually titled the same as the title of the book, but you'll hear the title in here. And this poem is sort of the poem a person might write if they were a queer kid growing up in rural upper Michigan who didn't realize that they were a queer kid because they didn't know that there were queer kids or queer people in the world. And then look back and try to figure out who else might have been with them on that journey. Premises. She drove a truck. It wasn't a question. Her shoulders were wide the way they had to be. The ball cap, the smile like a sturgeon. In the morning, the white cab with the rummaged gray girlwork, hubcaps flayed away on some 2-track gaunt and wily as a lover. Ice on the windshield to say that nothing we make to see through stays clear long, or ever. To her, the rifle's chamber explicable, the gold thread that pulls a bullet true amid the red instant of an animal heart. She begging Bud Light empties to return for deposit, she back of the class with Kodiak green label, refilling her empty Coke bottle a stickier brown. She Kmart security in a blue pointed vest, out in the parking lot, brick-walling the reedy punk with Green Day's latest slunk in his boxers, some old grief thing brined in her chest. The kid's nose bloodied against packed snow and ice, accidental. The cold and the rust smell, the plow truck grinding a berm against old Highway 2. Oh, she'll haul him up by the stolen 99-cent stretched gloved hand with cut-out fingers. She'll tighten the backs of her legs for balance. Her boots with their road salt shorelines know how to hold. If you must, remember. But don't go judging her lovely. Don't go hanging the winter sun above rows of bombed-out Chevys. Don't catch her reflection bending gold in the sliding doors, clattery and fine as a river fit for melting. Behind them, everything new. You don't have to clap in between each one. It might get tiring for your hands. But it's cool. Clapping is cool. I read that poem. I was at a residency in Italy this summer, and I read that poem, and I had to define every single brand name. I was like, so Kmart is this store that we have in the United States with like lots of different things in it, and Kodiak is this chew thing that's like tobacco. You put it in your mouth. Okay, so next I'm going to read a poem that is about goldfish and frostbite. My parents recently asked me, do you remember how we used to go out for those Easter walks on the frozen lake every year? And I'm like, yeah, I totally remember because I got frostbite every year. Like they're like, this is such a sweet family memory. Not a sweet family memory for me. And I will say that this poem includes a story that is absolutely true. Lacustrine. The pain that comes with thaw metallic, a struck tuning fork in the blood's lull. Thumbprints mooned in cold waxed skin. Whatever the body seems to understand, here it has been shamefully fooled, having allowed sensation to seep out unremarked past 2 sets of socks, past the boots' felt linings and cast rubber soles, having drawn up the frozen lake's perilous breath like praise, while offering no protest, nothing at all, until in the warm car, under the hand's earnest chafings, a blotched pink returns. Only then, deliverance all but assured, do the nerves assemble their factory of grind and ache. 2. On the frozen lake, take your turn with the auger. Score through the plain of the caught world to one still animate below. Fish are wary. The hours do not have names. Ice cataracts each cut place, and nothing moves until one walleye flaps up slow and stiff as barely worked leather on a bobbed line. 3. Lakes freeze but do not die, like the goldfish one winter vacation we left, and turned the heat so low the pipes froze, the tap froze, the aquarium became a brick of cliffed and reaching ice. Our pets, terrible sculptures of themselves, orange scales undimmed, eyes caught bored open in the midst of their daily ministrations, black suckerfish printed like apostrophes to the tank's sides. Furnace called back to life, we watched the ice begin to sweat, watched it feather back, hang branched and skeletal in returning water. We expected the fish to upend and float like bath toys, to lump the slushed surface, instincts decommissioned, hearts unspurred. Instead, they unperished, budged their gills, cupped tails one way and the other, until no worse for the wear they swam up past fern and dayglow arch to kiss the edge of their universe, credulity intact, no reason to doubt the heavens would open and food begin to fall. That's real. If you freeze your goldfish, they can come back to life.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Isn't it cool? Okay, so I'm going to get out of the winter here. This poem is proof to me that you can write a poem about anything. Like an old sock or like dog breath or whatever you might be interested in. This poem is about that display on the back of some airplane seats that like shows you where you are on the map of the country. I really love that display. Like way better than the movies. I just want to see the airplane like going across. So this poem is for that digital airplane. Oh, and it's also kind of my like flyover state protest poem. So I'm like one of those people who's from the Midwest, and I feel like I can criticize where I came from, but like when I'm out here on the West Coast and people are like, oh, flyover states, I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. Don't say that about that place. So it's like a chip on the shoulder, digital airplane poem. Light path. Oh, computerized throwing star. Oh, white bird claw. Oh, perforate line across each pixelate border. Oh, green wash to signify forest. Oh, mountains rumpled beige. Oh, screen that ticks incremental. Oh, brash blemish of cities, Minneapolis, Chicago. Detroit marked by a red pin stripeless, unfestive, your only prize. Oh, icon unblessed, I ride spec side one row behind your herringbone wing. My particulate chair sailing ... Each microscopic thump failing to upset my infinitesimal drink. Soon to land in a city no more maligned than any other. Unborn by a cage of ore extracted from dirt up north. Steel assembled here or someplace where we demand the same work be done for less and faster. Digital me gliding unaffected over the Great Lakes blue ganglion, neither coming home nor arriving from it, no outward change in the image when we touch ground. And then I think I'll read one more from the book, and then maybe I'll read a couple new ones. That sound good to you, Hannah? Great. This is my one official plant nerd poem. I feel like one of the wonderful things about the Northwest is there's a lot of plant nerdiness going on. And so this is my attempt to join those ranks. It has the scientific name of a plant as its title. I'm sure that I pronounced it wrong. Also, it has a made-up word in it, which is very unscientific, and the made-up word is really hard for me to pronounce, so I will probably stumble over it. But I will tell you that it means like an anemone. So this happens to me. Anemone is the word.
Solid.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, this is the problem when you write things on the paper and you're like, that's beautiful, and then you have to read them. And this is a poem about a plant that occurs all over the place in Upper Michigan, which is a carnivorous plant. Sarracenia purpurea. We find it tucked between stunted tamarack and the singular resplendence of wild cranberry. Taproot with radial branching, sphagnum backsplash, bunched anemoniac bouquet. More than any other plant, the bog's own creature, Sarracenia worships water over light, fattens its leaves, gives them mouths to drink from. Late in the season, a single pinwheel rises above lurked-in shade, dries to a crackle in obsolescent sun. Those leaves, their labial openings, veined red and green like frog skin, peach fuzz angled down to tangle the hair legs of caught insects, coerce them ever lower. Gastric common room of the inner sanctum where today 2 fruit flies float, immobile, their body specks destined for speckless dissolution, in no way more brutal than our own omnivoric conquests, yet we observe from a distance, unclear on the line that divides the monstrous from the sublime. Okay, I'm gonna read on this iPad, which always makes me feel like I'm secretly playing Candy Crush or something up here. I'm not, I swear. Just hate carting around a whole bunch of journals. This is a Northwest poem, so it takes me like 10 years to start writing about a place that I've been in, so I'm just now starting to write about the Northwest. And this is from my next collection, which I'm like in that stage of maniacal tinkering where I'm just like taking out one word and then 2 days later putting it back in and then taking that word out and then deleting the whole line and then starting the whole process over again. So it's going to be done soon, I think. And that, my first collection was, memoir sort of about a particular region. This next collection is about grief and climate change. So it's light reading. Houseboat. Or to live on the water in saltbox cedar shake. Rain, the windows weeping, the ocean drinking itself to a stagger, sipping ice from splintered poles. Grief swells like damp door jams, but the stove and sink are too petite, the stairs too miniature, everything in place and cleverly fastened, which means our sadness should arrive in sensible measure, even if we exist in the rumble of doom's double drumbeat, even if our models for survival scatter like face cards in a stiff wind. Watch us set aside money in hopes to someday stop working. When April warms early, see us seed tomatoes in terracotta, leave off weeding and coax our skins to echo chamber, close 1,000 tiny distances until we multiply, unchart. Love, we are not brave. We are bodies. Saline among other suspensions. Insipid season, our intentions fallow, our heat bill halves. Behind the spillway, the lake's been closed on account of snails' pathologic flourish. Starboard, the paper-thin bustle of night moths frilling northward, while salmon slant rhyme the mouths of rivers they've known since birth. And this is Yeah, this is kind of a cosmic poem. This is another poem where I try to pretend like I know science. One time I read this poem and there was this guy came up to me afterwards and he was like, "Oh hey, I'm a physicist. It's really great that you're writing about science." And I was like, Bodies. Try as we might, we can't help believing heaven is up, though the truth is we've no purchase in this black ice universe. Our language skidding from one nothing to another, direction, shape, the what of it, selfless, unthinged, also lacking in edges, though scientists talk like it's a tattered dress, always flaring outward if they were out or in. We stand on the front porch when spring comes, our feet bare, scars solved cosines mapped to hooks in the mudroom wall. We tilt our necks, believing we look heavenward, while in fact we're turning pirouettes in mad overlap, orbit, daybreak, galactic year, plus plunging headlong into a nothing so thick it feeds itself with light but never shines. Closest, perhaps, at night, dark drunk, when we click the lamp switch and hope there is no one we don't know standing in the doorway, and we come to understand, while we wait for our pupils to sharpen, that whatever called us stayed behind in the bafflement we woke from, and we are alone, if safe, not certain. Okay, I'm going to read one more poem. And I didn't put it on my cheat sheet like I meant to. Let me do this one. Okay. This is a poem about my fear of lightning, and a particular type of lightning. Has anybody heard of ball lightning before?
Yes.
Horrifying,
Lightning.
super scary, may or may not actually exist. There's like not enough scientific proof to know anything about it, except that people have seen it, and it's just this lightning that is a sphere and like might burn everything it touches, or might be able to pass through anything that it wants to without harming it, and might explode and might not explode, like nobody really knows. And it's also about, so this new book that I've been writing is partly for a friend of mine who died very suddenly at the age of 30 from nothing, just died. And 2 years before him, his brother, who was adopted, not genetically related, also died of nothing. And then 2 years later, his mother died of a broken heart, I think. So this is sort of a poem about like how these things that don't happen all at once to people. Anyway, you'll see. I don't know why I'm explaining it so much. Here we go. Electromagnetic. The small town science teacher's sternest warnings concerned the murderous capacity of lightning. Arms stabbing like irked storks, he'd demonstrate bolts pounding telephone lines, striking from water taps. He'd swoon from desk to desk, the path of wrapped spheres transgressing walls and windows, luminous, apparitional, capable in one cat-like brush of killing you cold. Later, the girl woke to every thunderstorm, limbs staticked, always in the flash calm before a knowing globe of light would crest her bedroom eaves, glide on secret physics through addled air, freeze tag her and her sister in their metal bunks, then gleam away to extinguish the rest of the whisperless house. Harmless by comparison, vertical branches drawn down on summer afternoons to even the charge between earth and sky. Unless you're the man hit 7 times, who begins to believe storm clouds capable of pursuit, who keeps a pan of water in his truck, precaution against recurrent bouts of bursting into flame. He isn't wrong. It keeps happening, which begs the question of volition, how we prefer unlucky to cursed. In the concert hall's Faraday cage, your band played compositions for stars falling, presented an award in your name. Your faith beamed overhead, a mechanism of widening light. In the front row, your mother ailed, oxygen tubes rasping, She's aged 20 years in the 3 since you and your brother broke frequency. Your father applauded, his smile perpetually fortified for alarm. When the last note fled, he helped his wife to her feet. Past their bedtime, he said, and took his leave. Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much for having me. There are a couple of copies of The Cold and the Rest over there, and I did bring a very beautiful pen, so if anybody wants to buy one, I will sign it for you. Okay.